Hello, my friend. I am Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking to people that everybody tells me I'm not supposed to talk to, talking to people that are out there in the world of what we now call alternative media, where mainstream just ignores us, shuts us down, does everything they can to stop us and delete us. I had every single one of my Facebook pages deleted just over 3 months ago. Boom, gone. 40,000 people like that. All because I violated some community standard that they never even bothered telling me what it was. All correspondence I've written to them has been unanswered. So I'm a definite example of them shutting you down and shutting you up. There's things happening now, and there's a bill called AB 771 that's on Governor Hairdo's desk right now. That's targeting people like me and my guest today, Arthur Schchaper. Love this guy, author, commentator, and writer. Arthur Schchaper has always got some of the best intake and thoughts on what's going on in the world, and is on the front lines. But this new bill that's been proposed will do everything they can to shut us up. I'll share that with you coming up. Also, we're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk, the late great Charlie Kirk, and his impact on media, the world, and the reaction of the left. Even that they're trying to shut down and shy away from, and not even acknowledging the contribution that this American treasure, which is what Charlie Kirk was, an American treasure. They're trying to shut it up. Here's a fine example of some of Arthur Schchaper's work when he showed up at a protest going on at a school board meeting. He's with massresistance.org. This is brilliant. Check it out.
And I saw, what was it, Resign Candace? Resign Candace? Why should she resign?
Because she's a Nazi.
She's a Nazi?
I know her personally.
She's a Nazi.
Damn, you're a friend of a Nazi.
You think it's okay to harass innocent people?
Do.
Oh, okay.
It is okay to harass this
He harasses people.
Don't give him any context.
Everybody's a Nazi. Everyone I hate is Hitler.
Don't talk to him.
I mean, if they stopped acting like
Why?
Hitler,
These are the people who are pushing all this abuse on kids, all under the guise of so-called LGBT. Hey, you're an adult. You can talk to me.
Okay?
Oh, no, nobody wants to fuck you, believe me. Do you think it's okay for children to be exposed to pornography? Explain that to me. Why are you here?
Why am I here? I'm here for my kids. They're neo-Nazis running
Neo-Nazis?
this place. Oh, yeah.
Where are the swastikas?
Where are the swastikas?
Oh, my goodness. Somebody tells the truth and you call it hate. That sounds like a fascist to me. That sounds like a Nazi.
Right.
Telling the truth is hate? Why? Telling the truth is not hate. Telling the truth is not hate. Protecting kids from sexual degeneracy is not hate. You are a hate group, honey. You guys are harassing the school board. You guys are trying to get her fired. She's a nurse, Candy Olson. How dare you? Where's your proof? What did she say? What did she do? Whoa! Freedom to read. I see your pin there. Freedom to read. Do you think children should be allowed to read pornography? Do you think that should be
definition of pornography.
Oh, that's the game you want to play. Do you think that explicit bodies?
I don't want to play that game.
Pornography is not a game. It should not be pushed on children.
You're claiming as your nation.
Okay, so what's going on here? I learned to kill my enemy's kindness. So a lady, she liked one post and there was 15 others, so you want to hang her from a tree for all the other stuff? That's ridiculous. So where's her swastikas? Does she say nasty things about Jewish people or about Slavic people? I'm three. What has she said?
Yeah.
What would you like? She said.
You tell me. What has she said that is Nazi?
Anti-Semitic things.
Like what? Like what? Exactly.
Wow.
You don't know what you're talking about. What are you doing here?
Yeah. Okay.
So let me ask you something. Do you think that children should have access to pornography? Do you think that there should be explicit bodies teaching kids about sexual acts? Do you think that should be given to children? What do you?
That's not the issue.
Yes, it is.
That's not the
Are you
issue.
kidding me? That's what is on the agenda right now. So this is like a party. Candace Olson resign. Yep, there's the pizza. And who pays for this?
Good question.
Tell us the NGO that props you up to be here, because most of the mothers and fathers, they have to work. Nobody pays pizza for them.
Who paid
Explain
for the
that
sign?
to me.
Who paid for the signs?
Do you think it's okay for porn to be available to children? Of course not. But you got the LGBT lobby here in this town. They want to make this available. And what's with the pride flag being forced on kids? That is abuse. No, I'm allowed to be here, sir. Deal with it. Okay. So here we go. We've got we've got genderqueer here. This has pictures of like oral sex taking place in a book, and they want kids to be able to see this. Do you think that's appropriate?
No, we also don't have that.
Oh, so it's gone. But you know what? LGBT activists here in Redlands and elsewhere, they want that to be around kids. You don't want it in your face. I agree with you. And it shouldn't be in kids' faces. Let's see. All right. Reading freely, does that include pornography? Because that's what you're defending. I have seen this over and over again. Defending obscene books.
They won't answer that.
Okay. And why are you here? Because you think Candy Olson is what, a Nazi? Where's the evidence for this? You have the signs. Why should she resign? Why? Just because someone gave you a sign and you wanted to carry it? Why?
Wow, you're desperate for content, aren't you?
Desperate? I'm asking you a question. It seems like you're desperate to find a following. What is this?
Right?
Or to find something to do with your time. Why would you come out in this, 100-degree heat? Why? Because I don't like the idea of abuse being pushed on kids under the guise of gender-affirming care or diversity. That's a problem. I also don't like that school board members get harassed and are belittled and defamed because they're trying to protect children. And I really hate that people weaponize that. Oh, look at this. Speaking of weapons, now they've got metal detectors. Well, this is something. What is this? You can't tell me why you're here. This is what it really comes down to.
I choose not to engage.
Oh, choose not to engage because you can't say why. This is what we're dealing with. Did you tell me what you wanted to tell me? You didn't explain to me why you're here.
Who made those signs, by the way?
Because someone told you?
Who paid for those? Who paid for those signs? That is a brave dude right there. That is a brave dude. If you've never been doxxed before, it's a horrible feeling. I have. I've had my life threatened, and it's always by the left, and it's always by someone from the homosexual community throughout my career. Anytime I dared to say anything against this kind of thing, that's how I was attacked. Boycotted, shut down, shut up. Not me, though. Let's get Arthur Schchaper on the show now and talking about this and a whole lot more on Do Not Talk. Ready? Hit it. That was an amazing time that you were there. I'm glad you were there chronicling that. I know a few others who are very bold that way, but they're few and far between. Ben Berquam comes to mind. Also, Josh Fulfer from Oreo Express. He's one of those guys that gets right in their face like that and tries to make them answer, but they never do they? They don't talk about what the actual. That one dude goes, well, that's not even the point. That's exactly what this point is. That's why you're here at the school board meeting, to argue for pornography in the school libraries, weren't they?
Yep. That's exactly it. That was a great intro, Charlie. I'm so glad you showed that video to everybody. I guess I'm so used to doing it, I don't think twice about it. But it's so important for people to see how cowardly and stupid these vile people are. And they are violent. They are abusive. This was a group they're all part of a group called Together for Redlands, but it's really not about being together. They want to divide the community. They want to harm children. They want to push perversion in the schools, most of all. And they were harassing the school board because they were passing pro-family, pro-child policies to protect them from all this perverse indoctrination. And you can see when I confront them about, why are you here? Why are you defending this? They get really nervous, really scared, or they don't want to say anything at all. These bullies are paper tigers, and it takes more people stepping up and getting in their face and calling them out on it. The amount of doxing that took place, they were trying to get one of the school board members, her name is Candy Olson, they were trying to get her fired from her job as a nurse. And it's just obscene. This is evil. This is just a few steps away from ghettos and gas chambers. This is not that's not hyperbole, because that's what the Nazis did. From the Nuremberg laws, that was cancel culture codified in statute. The communists did this at a great length. The same thing happened during Maoist China. This is what they do. They make it so that you can't live, can't survive, can't have any standing in the community, reducing you to being less than a human, and then ultimately your death. This is Jordan Peterson talked about this in his very contentious interview with Candy Newman, when she mocked him for saying, wait, you're comparing trans activists to Maoist China. And they said their utterances are very much the same. It's all collectivist. You have to get along. You have to march in lockstep or you die. That is the theme. We've seen one transgender militant after another engaged in mass murder, massive crimes against humanity here in the United States. It's now happening around the world. And now the latest horrific assassination was Charlie Kirk. You had a gay guy dating a man who then wanted to pretend to be a woman, and they were into the furry fetish as well. All of that stuff is being pushed on kids through the whole LGBT onslaught. And I thank you again for giving me a chance to talk about mass resistance. We are working with those parents ongoing in Redlands. We're not done yet. They're going to be at the school board meeting tonight. We are naming names. We are going after every one of these Together for Redlands bigots. We have to do to them what they do to us. It's the only way that this stops. People will not learn the lesson. They won't retreat from these abusive practices until they succumb to them. I'm not talking about killing people, by the way. I believe in natural law and natural right. I do believe, though, in consequences. And this is on a larger issue. This kind of accountability culture is what is needed. And the left has always gotten away with these abusive practices, exposing people's home addresses, their jobs, seeking to get them fired for the most defamatory reasons. It's not only false, it's destructively so. And you saw those Together for Redlands bigots calling people Nazi. The one guy with the dark skin, his name is Aaron Fernando. I'm naming names right now. He literally called a Jewish guy a Nazi. And then I confronted him on it a second time. And I went after him publicly. That old man with the big mustache, he was telling me in another part of that video that wasn't segmented into that sequence, he was there for his grandson who is LGBT. Right away, that's child abuse. There's no kid who's LGBT. We really have to affirm this. I'm very frustrated, by the way, this is my umpteenth time saying this. You have a lot of groups, whether it's Gays Against Groomers, even Billboard Chris. I got into a contention with him. I know that this might not work well within the community of conservative influencers, but we have to tell the truth 100%. There's no gay kid, just as there's no trans kid. We've got to get to the truth here. Just as I would submit to you, there's no such thing as a gay adult or a trans adult. It's not in the biology. It's not in the genetics. We've got to get to the truth of this. And God bless people like...
They freak out when you call it a choice, but it is. You can choose to act on your urges, or you can choose not to.
It's very much a response to trauma. That's something... And more... You want to talk about cancel culture... you'd have people like Christopher Yuan, David Arthur, Janet Boynes. These are former homosexuals who have established a ministry of how they left that lifestyle. They have faced unprecedented cancel culture efforts to shut them down, to silence them. You can go to academic settings. Universities do not allow you to publish research showing how there's no genetic evidence that indicates a homosexual iteration or certainly a transgender one. There is widespread abuse that ensues if you speak out. I get the newsletters from the left as well as the right. There's the LGBTQ Nation. They're based in San Francisco, where you used to work as a newscaster.
Of course they are.
And what they said some of the most vile things. They were defending the onslaught of abuse against Charlie Kirk. They didn't necessarily celebrate his death, wink, wink, but they made all of these excuses for the outpouring of hatred. They wanted to play victim again and say, well, Charlie Kirk was attacking the trans community, and people now are using this as an excuse to attack the trans community. And it's like, it's not a community. It's a mental illness. Nobody should be treating it as a civil right. And that's actually a form of abuse. You have precious people of all ages who've been harmed, abused, neglected, whatever they've been through. And now they've been induced into a lie. The last thing we should be is enabling it. And that's a big reason why mass resistance has really focused on the schools. They are inducing, they want to get the kids early, get them at 8 before it's too late. That is the slogan for NAMBLA, which is the most perverse organization even within the whole LGBT onslaught, North American Man Boy Love Association. It actually exists, folks. It is absolutely disgusting. It's in San
And a very
Francisco.
powerful lobbying group.
Yeah, and that the fact that it even can exist as such is obscene. I got some brief good news. There was a group called Prostasia that was trying to normalize attraction to children, treating them as, oh, they're just a class that is unfortunately benighted with this strange attraction, and we shouldn't demonize this. No, it's a perversion, and it shouldn't be celebrated. And this is the result when you treat homosexuality and transgenderism as normative. You're going to open up the floodgates to all kind of sexual perversions. Back to the Charlie Kirk assassin. His boyfriend was into the furry stuff, pretending to be an animal, pretending to be a sexually perverse animal on top of that, and the opposite sex. It's just all insanity. It's all disgusting. And they want to push this on the kids. This is what we were fighting, what we are fighting in Redlands. The school district was able to advance some key policies with my presence there. Redlands residents were very grateful for mass resistance. We really put a spring in their step. A lot of those bigots didn't show up to the next school board meeting afterwards. We scared them off. We want to do that more. We want to mobilize as much support as possible for that school district. We want people fired. Any librarian, any teacher, any principal who thinks that pride flags, homosexual sex lessons, transgender ideology being pushed on kids as normal shouldn't be around kids. They should be working at some brothel or some bar. They should not be in a classroom. This is important. We really urge every pro-family activist, you got to go big or go home. It's not just about removing a few books. It's not just about passing a policy. Hey, I'm glad even with Redlands passing the policies, that's nice. But remember, you have teachers that go, I'm just not going to comply. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to have pride flags on every wall. So the next step, of course, is to start writing them up, to start sanctioning them, to start putting them on unpaid leave. You can make these professionals' lives so miserable that they quit. That's what we want. We want them out. We've done this in Ludlow, Massachusetts. We can do it anywhere else. If there is a diligent commitment to calling out how heinous and evil this agenda is, I have some hope, even here in California, not just because of what we did in Redlands, but I was pleased to listen to David Hernandez. He is the California GOP regional vice chair for Los Angeles County. Every liberal establishment LGBT interest tried to thwart his reelection bid. This ties into the convention discussion that you brought up in our previous discussion. He succeeded. He defeated them all. This is him getting elected a second time. That is beyond commendable. And he has stood his ground on protecting kids and standing against all this perversity. And I hope that this is a trend that we can build on. I invite every one of your viewers, reach out to massresistance.org. I've got a guy in Texas who called me today. He wants to start getting stuff done in Dallas, Texas. We've got a chapter in Kansas now that is going after a bad teacher who celebrated the demise of Charlie Kirk. We're going to get him fired as well. We've wanted to get rid of all the LGBT DEI indoctrination in the Topeka schools. We're aiming big, we're aiming small, we want results. We were even able to help a group in rural North Carolina. They're cleaning up their library. We were able to give them some advice in that regard too. So this is the big push. It's a long haul. We have to have a bigger vision, have to have a bigger heart. You know, I respect there's a lot of activists. They want to they want to guide parents to just take their kids out of the schools. I get that. But you've got a lot of parents who can't take their kids out.
Right.
So you've got to
I always
fight
feel for the
clean
single parents who don't have any help. How are they going to do it? They can't homeschool. They can't afford a private school. They can't put them in a Christian school. They just don't have the resources for it. But there are ways now. There are groups that have gotten together that are homeschooling with each other in each other's homes and so on. This is extraordinary what's happening. But of course, the media is ignoring it and trying to shut it down. And the state of California also trying
Yes.
to go after charter schools and private schools and force their curriculum on them, or they don't, or they'll make it to where they can't even keep their doors open.
And the left, they don't withdraw from society when they don't get their way. What they do is
they
they
just hide for a
invade
while.
and corrupt society. And it's time for us to retake society and restore what's been going on. Why should we have to withdraw when we're the normal ones? We don't believe in sexual perversion, child degeneracy, abuse of kids. Why are we the ones that have to withdraw? That's not right. It's time to step in, step up, and clean out everything that they're pushing, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And that's what you see, those awful people in Redlands. They're having a party. They have pizzas. Like, this is something to celebrate. I mean, this is sick. And they're getting a lot of money. There's LGBT centers in San Bernardino County, in Redlands, in Pomona. There's a lot of colleges in Pomona that's pretty close to Redlands. A lot of the moral rot comes out of the Pomona area. It's really bad. So that's where they're getting a lot of their money. I was working with a few parents in Pomona for a while. They ended up having to withdraw, but we found out that, the Pomona City Council, there was a guy on the council. He was convicted of trying to entice a minor. He was, a sex offender. This is a city councilman. He's a sex offender. He was also on the board of the Pomona Valley LGBT Center. If that doesn't tell you everything, I don't know what to do for you. If you can't put two and two together there, this is a child abuse agenda from the outset. The first modern gay rights activist, Carl Ulrich, said that he should be allowed to sleep with 14-year-olds. That was part and parcel of the agenda. You had the Nazis were engaged in these transgender surgeries, this mutilation of children and adults. Maybe I've mentioned it before. I think it needs to be mentioned every single time. Many of the Nazis were out homosexuals. You can read about this in The Pink Swastika by Dr. Scott Lively. It's thoroughly documented. You can read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Many of the high-ranking Nazi officials were out homosexuals. They liked men. They loved boys. They wanted to reinstate a pagan Greco-Roman moral ethic, which means you can sleep with whatever you want. Part of the reason they targeted Jews was because the whole Jewish culture represented men and women should be married and have children. That's what a proper sexual ethic looks like. And of course, you go back to those hateful people in Redlands. They call other people Nazis. But I was at that meeting. You didn't see my public comment. There wasn't enough space. I literally said it. You guys are the Nazis. You guys are the ones who want to push people into ovens. I pointed out to them, most of the Nazis were homosexuals, so no wonder you engage in the same kind of tactics they did. They absolutely hated it. One of the women got up in my face after my public comment, and then the school board threw me out. They threw me out. They were a little confused. Candy Olson, she spoke at the board and said, "Why is he being removed and not the other lady?" But it all works for good. They got the policies done, and a lot of those awful people stopped coming to the school board meetings. In other meetings I've watched, the children are taught to say some of the most evil things too. It's like the modern day Hitler Youth. They are
coached.
Them
They are coached,
to be
most definitely.
so abusive. And it might not be a popular take, but we confront the kids too. We go after them. We have the right to confront them on this. You want to roughhouse with there was a segment in my huge confrontation. I can send the whole video to you. There was that one fat kid getting in my face. And the first thing he says to me is, "Well, I'm a minor." And I said, "You know what? You want to roughhouse with the adults, you play by our rules." And then it shut him up. He didn't want to play anymore. I have a right to record. It is a public place. You cannot silence me for doing that. And you're going to love this. A bunch of those bigots, those Together for Redlands haters, they tried to get my YouTube videos taken down. They sent in complaints citing privacy concerns. But I am happy to report YouTube blew them off. None of my videos were taken down. And this is a big step because YouTube will look for any excuse. I mean, I believe your YouTube channel you were mentioning earlier, it got shut down. Your Facebook account got shut down. You might want to file an appeal. I encourage you to do that because the CEO of Alphabet just made a statement that they're reinstating all the accounts that had been silenced because of that was just released today. I encourage you, file an appeal. You go through your Google account and file an appeal to reinstate your account. I think you'll get it back. I actually did that last year. My initial YouTube account, where I was confronting people and recording my interactions, it was shut down. I think it was in late 2017. Well, about 8 years later, 7 or 8 years later, I said, well, let me see if I can get it back. And they reinstated my account. Everything was still there. It was amazing. I've got my 2 YouTube accounts running around again, one for myself and one for my work with mass resistance.
Thank you for that. I will look into
and
that.
This is for everybody else too. President Trump's new cultural movement is restoring our freedom of speech. All these leftists complaining about silencing and how they're being canceled. Boo-hoo. They did it to us for years and for no good reason. We are telling the truth. They support terrorism. They support assassination. There should be accountability for that. A business has every right to dismiss somebody when they celebrate such evil and bring harm to the business. That is more than appropriate. This is why we are really determined to make sure that that Redlands School Board is able to overcome any kind of cancel culture effort. We're happy to report none of the good school board members have lost their jobs. There was a death threat. A recent death threat was issued against Candy Olson. This was made public in one of the Facebook groups. I've received word from residents in Redlands. She got the police involved, and we have a name, and they went after the guy. And they're telling Candy Olson to file a temporary restraining order. Take this seriously, folks. After what happened to Charlie Kirk, we must not. We shouldn't blink at the death threats. We should take them seriously, hold them accountable. Mass resistance. We have received numerous death threats. We have received numerous harassment calls. Last month, we had a very demented man in Southgate, California. He was calling our Massachusetts office, repeatedly harassing us on the phone. Massachusetts has better laws when it comes to, telephone harassment. We got the local police involved. You'll love this. This shows that the world is healing, even in the blue states. The Waltham Police Department, they were able to trace where the guy was located. He was in Southgate, California. They called the Southgate Police Department, and the Southgate police went to the guy's home and said, if you keep making phone calls, you're going to get arrested and you're going to be prosecuted. Yeah, we shut him down. We do not play with this. This is a big thing about mass resistance. And I can tell you, give me your death threats, give me your whatever. We've been out and about. I trust in Psalm 91. I've got a perfect covering. I know who my father is. You're not going to mess with me. We've been through it all. Brian Kammacher, the president of mass resistance, he has gone to the Massachusetts State House. He has sat in the midst of trannies and homos who were pushing for all kinds. He sat in the midst of them, and they wouldn't mess with him because they know they can't scare the guy. He's got nasty phone calls, whatever, and he doesn't care because we take such an aggressive stance from the outset against this whole agenda. And the same thing with what happened there in Redlands. A couple of them doxed me, I guess is the term. They knew who I was. They said who I was. I couldn't care less. I went out you saw that ugly fat Karen trying to silence everybody else.
Including her own husband or whoever he was there.
Yes. And I let her have it. And you saw her pushing her husband away, trying to prevent him from talking to me. And I get all of it on camera. It's wonderful. There was a guy in a white shirt with glasses. His name is Michael Paisner. I'm naming names. That creepy man is a big ringleader in the Together for Redlands hate group. And all of them are connected with vandalism that was perpetrated against the Ark Church in Redlands. It is a well-established, very active church where local conservatives have been working together to help the school board. They targeted the church with vandalism. It's a very serious issue. The city of Redlands has now issued a reward to find out who specifically perpetrated that crime. And this is all in the wake of Charlie Kirk's horrid assassination. Local departments are taking this seriously, but it shouldn't be a call to fear. It should be a call to fight. Just like when Donald Trump raised his fist after getting grazed by an assassin's bullet himself. We're not going to back down. We're going to double down. We're going to demand this entire agenda be shut down. We must not back away from the fight.
And every time somebody says, "Oh, well, that's terrible. You're trying to get teachers fired," and they're mostly good people. Shut up.
God.
Shut up.
Oh man!
If you're jacking with kids, that's it. You're done. I don't care. Get out.
Yeah,
You don't
mean,
get to continue in this career.
this has got to be, and I'm still sadly, I'm running into some conservatives, even in Redlands. God
That's
bless
what
them. I
I'm
won't
talking
name
about.
names, but they're saying that,
talking
well, their
about.
heart's in the right place, but they're doing the wrong things. No, their heart is not in the right place. This kind of a soft-hearted approach is a mistake. This is evil what they're doing, and you have to stop it. You don't make nice with it. You don't placate it. You don't dismiss it. And we have to shake ourselves free of the, well, what if they do it to us? Well, they already are. You know, and the difference is still fundamental. They defend lies, we defend truth. They defend evil, we defend good. They defend wrong, we're defending right. So we need to use every resource available to break their will and stop their systemic abuse.
Amen. Have you heard of Assembly Bill 771?
I need you to tell me about that one. That I've not heard about. I've heard about 495, which is just, state-sponsored child abuse, grooming, and abducting kids. I know about that one, but 771 is new to
That's
me.
on Governor Harris's desk right now, but so is Assembly Bill 771. This is directly targeting people like you and me, Arthur. Watch this.
Of all of this, something else happened around free speech, something nobody seems to be talking about happening in the background while none of us are paying attention. The bluest state in the country, California, just passed the most censorious bill ever to be introduced in this country, SB 771, passing the Assembly on September 10th, 10 days ago. Then on September 16th, passing the Senate completely under our noses, which means right now, all that stands between complete statewide government censorship is Gavin Newsom's signature. Now, am I exaggerating about how bad this bill is? No, I am not. Here is the actual bill. You can pull this up yourself on the state's website. The bill is called SB 771. It's called Personal Rights Liability Social Media Platforms. In Section 2, Title 23 of the bill, it defines the penalties for breaking this new California law. If you post something on social media anywhere online that the state of California deems to be hateful, there's a penalty for that reckless violation, a civil penalty of up to $500,000. For an intentional, knowing, or willful violation, a civil penalty of up to $1 million. That is the definition of the state controlling speech, folks, not what Trump just did. We don't like what the FCC chairman happened to say on Benny Johnson's show, but there's a huge difference between that and real government censorship. And what type of speech is California trying to police here? Well, let's read from the bill. It says, this bill protects against online harassment, particularly when directed at historically marginalized groups. Which means what? If you were to, I don't know, point out who the Kavanaugh assassin is, which we all just learned about this morning in this new court filing, if you were to say who that person is, would you be fined $500,000? Pretty frightening. All of this happening in the midst of the media and Democrats, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris making hay out of Trump trying to attack the First Amendment. Meanwhile, the state of California is actively passing UK-style laws that will fine you for saying the wrong thing. Pretty wild. And this bill is completely done, folks. It's passed in the House. It's passed in the Senate. Wow. All that's left is Gavin Newsom signing it into law.
Well, I always remain optimistic. I now had a chance to educate myself. I have the bill in front of me. I'm looking at it. I think what is so remarkable and an essential element in his description of it is whatever the state of California deems hate speech. And that's the whole point. It's about who gets to define it. That's why this concept of hate speech is so false and flimsy. Who defines it? What defines it? I mean, and the guy points it out, the very historically marginalized groups are the ones that are supposedly the most marginalized, are the ones committing the most crimes. Like the whole transgender homicide, it's like an epidemic now. It's been one tranny after another targeting large groups of people, killing innocent people because they want to protect their vile delusion. We've seen this in Canada. We saw what's happened in other countries as these very mentally unstable people insist on not only maintaining the delusion, but insisting that you must accept the delusion or you will pay the price. You've had trannies going on to social media saying, you will respect us and we will make you over my dead body. I will kill you if you stop me. And the left in general, always is resorting to this violence. That is imminent and immediate threats that they issue against people. I love sharing this story. It's not necessarily LGBT based, but I think she was a non-binary, one of those confused women. She was at the Bakersfield City Council meeting, and she was blasting the city council. Karen Go is the mayor. It's still a Republican city. She's a Republican mayor. And they were blasting this lady. She was blasting the council, and she says, "We will go to your houses. We will guillotine you. We will murder you." She said that at the city council meeting. And Karen Go says that is a threat, and the police department is going to take care of it. They arrested her. And she has been charged with 16 felonies. 16 people were threatened, basically, city council, mayor, etc. And she is looking at trial. It's going to be in November. Those are threats. That is real. And notice, it's a leftist. You don't see MAGA people. You don't see Republicans going to city council meetings and saying, we're going to kill you if you don't pass this. That is a threat. You can't do that. Now, I'm looking at this law. It is so broad in its scope. It's outrageous in its scope. Talking about the attack on, what is it? Existing law prohibits a person from using violence or intimidation to interfere with another person's enjoyment of certain rights. It says certain. What about all rights? What's going on here? It also relies on the Los Angeles County Commission on Human Relations reported in December that hate crimes involving anti-immigrant slurs increased by 31%. Well, what is an anti-immigrant slur? Calling somebody an illegal alien? I guarantee it. It's exactly not even a slur. It's just telling the truth. You are here illegally. You're an illegal alien. And then there's this thing, 400% rise in anti-LGBT disinformation and harmful rhetoric. You know what they call harmful rhetoric? That there's only two sexes. They consider that harmful. You see, it's absolutely corrupt and evil. Now, I have a twofold optimism on this. The first is it's always a possibility, even though he's a vile man. Governor Newsom wants to be the next president of the United States. So he has begun to veto some of the most egregious bills coming to his desk. There was a bill that would have criminalized speech in a school board meeting. I don't know if you remember that from last year. He vetoed the bill. So there's that. And the second thing is he has to give himself the appearance of moderation. So this is a game that the legislature plays. The California legislature can do whatever it wants. It passes all these horrible bills. And then Governor Newsom, then he can say, look, I'm not that bad because I said no, and he vetoes the bill. So that's a possibility. I can tell you for sure, this is, to me, the precedent has been established even in this year alone. If he does sign this, it's going to be before a court, and it will be struck down. There was the law banning deep fakes or AI usage in campaign ads. That was struck down. This is not going to survive. We have a robust court system that understands the Constitution, especially the United States Supreme Court. This thing will go nowhere fast. It will be struck down. And last of all, there is such a robust free speech culture amongst us Americans. Even here in California, we're all going to disobey it. I'm going to say whatever I want. Come and get me. It's just not going to work. This is a state where the police don't even arrest anybody in many of the counties because there's such an aversion to law enforcement. Good luck enforcing this. I am not worried, but it shows the absolute disgusting disrepute of our legislature. And now we can see why bills like 495 float around. The real issue is stuff like this that they're passing underneath. I remember there was a bill
that nobody knew about. Because they still are under their 30-day no print rule. They have rescinded that. And that's what happens when you let those pigs make their own rules.
Yep.
There used to be a 30-day print rule where they had to post it online on their government website so we knew what was coming and we could give our input. Well, they waived that during COVID. They have not rescinded it.
Yep.
They're still sneaking this crap through on purpose.
They have that horrid gut and amend scam where they'll have like some innocuous bill about transportation. Then they'll wipe everything out and put in, we can take your kids away if you spank them, or every kid has to learn about transgenderism, or every high school student has to do a report on Harvey Milk, or some other perversion. This is another thing that's going on in Sacramento. It's horrible.
Where's our elected representatives pointing this stuff out? How come I didn't see a little press conference with Kevin Kiley or anybody else? Tom McClintock, who, by the way, voted no on censoring Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
I've
There's-
already written several times. I want McClintock back on my show. Nothing. I keep getting ignored. Our own elected representatives are not calling this stuff out and not even making us aware of what's happening.
For Kevin Kiley, I'll give him a break. He has called out a lot of horrible things.
He has.
From McClintock, there's no excuse. He's done this before. He scuttled the Mayorkas impeachment vote initially, so somebody had to vote no
Right.
so they could reschedule it. McClintock sounds to me he belongs to that William F. Buckley cohort of Republicans that let's be honorable, let's abide by the Queensbury rules, let's not do this tit for tat stuff. He's just not getting it. We're not in that world anymore. And maybe you ought to run, maybe take his place. I mean, this is just obscene. They're not getting it. We need a Trump-like punchback. You have to. Ben Shapiro talked about this during the Obama administration, punching back twice as hard. There's a philosophical scenario. It's called the two prisoner dilemma, and it's like you have two prisoners, and if they both committed the crime, or one of them committed the crime, or one didn't, it's something to that effect. If one person confesses and the other doesn't, then that person goes free and the other does. But if the other person confesses before the other one does, that person goes to jail for a year, you go to jail for 4 years or whatever. The only way that the two prisoners maintain silence is they know that if they say something, the other guy will say something, and they'll both get hammered for it. My point is, there is that mutual assured destruction. You step out of line, you're going to get hurt. And that hasn't been happening for the last 30 years. Democrats, liberals, progressives, communists, they've gotten away with this slow but steady onslaught against us. And we haven't said anything. This is not the first time we've seen massive left-wing violence. The Occupy movement, we saw this with Black Lives Matter. There needs to be accountability, damn it. And Trump is bringing the goods finally. People are getting arrested. The guy who tried to assassinate him was just convicted in a federal court in Florida today. It's on the move. Antifa finally declared a terrorist organization. You're damn right they are. They terrorized me when I was at UC Berkeley in August 2017. I was pepper
UC Davis when I was there to see Charlie Kirk.
It happened to you? They attacked you there too? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about time. I guess the president was getting bad advice at the time, but he is going full speed ahead. This is good. I want every Antifa operative arrested. I want George Soros arrested. He funds this. If anything, they're trying to preempt that with this 771 bill. But it's just the hypocrisy. They are the ones fomenting the violence. There's a lady. Her name is Cindy Sheehan. You might know her. She's in Gilroy, or she's in the Santa Clara area. She was attacked by one of the congresswoman's staffers. Just got up in her. This butch lesbian got in her face and started punching her. And Cindy defended herself, and yet she's the one who was facing arrest. This is the kind of crap that happens in the Bay Area. It's obscene.
Cindy Sheehan was her claim to fame was going after President George W. Bush, and
not Cindy Sheehan. I'm sorry, it's somebody else. Her name is Cindy, but I'm not talking about the anti-war protester in San Francisco. It's somebody else. She's a conservative. She voted for Trump. She was outspoken for Trump in Santa Clara County, where it's so hostile. Oh gosh, I hope she doesn't get upset with me. I'm getting her last name wrong, but she knows who I am, and I know who she is, and she knows that I know, and she knows I would never compare her to a liberal. So thanks for correcting me. But this is the kind of crap we're dealing with. It's the left 9 times out of 9.5 that is contributing to violence. And look at January 6th. There was one person killed. It was Ashley Babbitt. Okay. The Trump supporters, the MAGA supporters who were there, they didn't hurt anybody. Anybody who broke glass, anybody who hit a cop was most likely a leftist. Black Lives Matter, Utah, Salt Lake City, the guy dressed up as a MAGA and went to January 6th. The photos are out there. So, it's not the right that's perpetrating violence. God bless you. Of Missouri, he was in a very contentious hearing supporting FBI Director Kash Patel, going one by one after mass shooters or political violence. Who did this? Who did this? Left, 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 left. We must not allow corporate media or corporate academia or corrupt institutions to say that it's a both sides issue. It is not. This is the left.
It is
This
not.
is their heart. It is violence.
Absolutely.
From the French Revolution to the present day, it's always been about using violence to accomplish their goals.
And like most rabid animals, if you corner it, they will just attack savagely. That's what they're doing. But a lot of times it's through not doing anything at all. Kind of like their little media that they love, lying by omission, never even telling you about things. So they will not vote for something no matter how much sense it makes. We just saw that recently, talking about Charlie Kirk and his horrific assassination.
Yeah.
And here it is. Take a look at this. 5 House Democrats all voted no on there's Rick Scott right there. House Democrats defend decision to duck vote honoring Charlie Kirk on October 14th. His birthday coming up. Watch this.
And let us honor Charlie by believing in the power of our ideas to win the day and leave this nation a better place. I'm proud to have the support of more than 20 of my colleagues to honor Charlie by dedicating his birthday, October 14, 2025, as National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk.
After Senator Rick Scott called for the passage of a resolution to create a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk on October 14, 2025, the Senate unanimously consented and passed the resolution on Thursday. The date marks what would have been Kirk's 32nd birthday.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The resolution is adopted.
The surprising unanimous decision came despite hesitation and debate among Democrats as to whether or not to support the resolution. And as U.S. Representative Jamie Raskin pleaded with his fellow party members not to step into what he called an obvious political trap. The National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk will not
Political
be an
trap.
official federal holiday, so don't expect to get the day off. But it will be used to recognize Kirk for his contributions to civic education and public service.
Yes.
I love
So-
that they're not making it it's not going to be like a nationally federal day kind of thing, though. It's not going to be one of those. They're not allowing that to happen because then, government employees would get the day off. Well, we rallied together with Martin Luther King when it was all, MLK Day. Both the left and right said, yes, absolutely. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was every bit as,
you've opened
do you
up
think
a-
that Charlie Kirk was every bit as influential as Martin Luther King in our time?
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm so glad you opened up that subject. We need another episode for that. First, as a disclaimer, I was correct. I've got it because this lady deserves so much support. Her name is Cindy Sheehan. That is her last name. She is a conservative. She just unforeseeably has the same last name as that anti-war protester from a decade ago. Her name is Cindy Sheehan. She's awesome. I give her a shout out. She is holding the fort down in Santa Clara County and that Los Altos in that area, and that is hard. God bless her for that. Torrance is not so bad. I can wear a MAGA hat and not get attacked. But in the Bay Area, it's horrible. I wanted to correct myself for correcting myself. Now, I want to talk about that vote. The U.S. Senate, our system, our norms are still strong. Every senator, even Bernie Sanders, even Mazie Hirono, voted for that resolution to condemn violence. That is a big deal. I'm sure John Fetterman had something to do with it. John Fetterman's growing on me. Even though he's still a registered Democrat, I probably still wouldn't. If he wants to switch parties, we can talk. I'd be more than happy to campaign for the guy. But until then, the Senate requires that kind of collegiality. I get that. In the House, everybody gets to kind of vote their way. It's a lot more partisan. That's the way the framers designed it. However, it doesn't justify sitting out or even voting no on a resolution to condemn political violence and commemorate Charlie Kirk and his service to the country. I might have a slightly different view regarding a national holiday statement. I don't think Charlie Kirk would want a day turned into a holiday around him. I really believe that he was that humble and that committed to the country. That's my take on it. You opened up the door. I'm so glad you did. I wrote about this in one of my recent articles. I don't think we should have an MLK Day either. I'm going there. This is a very tough discussion, but the more evidence has come out, all the MLK files have been revealed. The guy was fraternizing with communists. The guy was a serial philanderer. The guy was not a Christian. MLK did not preach the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. He did not believe in that. A lot of people aren't aware of this. MLK plagiarized his dissertation. He did not write it. This is documented. There is a research article from 2004 exposing that he did not write that. It was fully plagiarized. He should have not become a doctor. He was fraternizing with serious adulterous affairs when he was gunned down, which is a horrible thing. I'm not defending that. On top of that, MLK, I looked at the I Have a Dream speech again with an objective lens, like no preconditions from what I was taught in elementary school. Just looking at the verses or the words, MLK says, I have a dream that one day the sons of slaves and the sons of slave owners will be able to sit at the table of brotherhood. MLK, they've already been doing that. It's called church. There are churches all over the United States where the sons of slaves and the sons of slave owners they're praying together. They preach together. They eat together. This idea that it hadn't happened yet is a lie. It's a lie. And, there's a lovely lady, her name is Miss Ashley Gilliam, and she talks about how Black people, they were able to build their own businesses. They built their own cities. When Tulsa, Oklahoma was firebombed big time, they rebuilt it. And it was white supremacists who destroyed Tulsa. Shameful. It's evil. And Black people, they didn't sit around going, help me government. They rebuilt it from top to bottom. They made it better. You could not keep them down as long as it's when government subsidy comes in. It's when government largesse or so-called affirmative action stepped in. That's when Black communities started suffering. I'm not saying this. Patrick Moynihan was talking about this. You've seen this issue by and large. And this is a tough discussion. Ronald Reagan did not want to sign off on that MLK Day provision in '84 because the files hadn't been released yet. Okay, there was a lot of dirt. Trump just did it. Now, this might be a tough discussion because nobody wants to be labeled racist. I put up something calling out the cult of Dr. King, and an Antifa person tried to dox me over it, but nothing happened to me. I stood my ground. I have a lot of respect for Reverend Ralph Abernathy, the Southern Baptist Christian League. They were a nonviolent civil rights movement, but MLK was like, Ann Coulter, she's written about this too. So there is a growing willingness to have this very tough discussion. There's a guy named Chad Jackson, and this, I'm getting back to Charlie Kirk, I promise, because the culmination point. Chad Jackson has been doing incredible exposés on MLK, and he says you cannot put Charlie Kirk and MLK on the same level. Charlie Kirk is much higher. He really is. And the truth is in the pudding. More people went to his funeral than to MLK's or RFK's or JFK's.
It was the most watched memorial in the history of any kind of a televised funeral or memorial like that.
And nobody can play this game of, well, we're in modern times and there's technology. No, people literally got off their butts and physically went there. Okay? That shows that whether there was technology or not, that is the impact that Charlie Kirk had. And what I'm saying, he shouldn't have a holiday. Okay? And this isn't to disparage. Frankly, the feds need to do some more work. They have too many holidays as it is, for starters. But I mean, the other thing is that I think it would kind of cheapen him because the movement is bigger than a day. Charlie, the bigger win is Charlie Kirk's assassination has created a million Charlie Kirks. There are kids. There was a guy in West Hollywood put on a MAGA hat, set up a table and said, let's talk. Doing exactly what Charlie Kirk did. There's a independent journalist, Cam Higbee. I follow him. He was in North Carolina or was in Georgia. They set up a table. Maybe I should start doing that. You've done that. This is what needs to be. It hasn't dampened the enthusiasm. Tens of thousands of requests for a TPUSA organization in colleges, high schools, universities have flooded the organization. That's the real way to do it. This is big. Charlie Kirk, God bless the man. And that's the town hall article you shared from yesterday. He was not afraid to talk about some really tough subjects. He didn't talk about MLK, but he went into the Civil Rights Act, how it's turned into an abusive weapon that is allowing men into women's sports and spaces. It fed the DEI cult, which has created discrimination. There was one Republican who warned about the bill, and it was Barry Goldwater. He says, this is not going to help. It's going to make it worse. Nobody can accuse Barry Goldwater of being a racist. He helped establish the NAACP in Phoenix, Arizona. There was literally a group, Negroes for Goldwater. Ebony Magazine reported on this. I even shared it with Thomas Sowell the one time I ever connected with him. He actually emailed me back the one time. It was so cool. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. You remind me of those graduate students I used to have when I was running seminars. I can't do that anymore. I don't have the time for that anymore. But this is interesting. I never knew about this. Negroes for Goldwater, because everybody likes to paint it out. All those white supremacists voted for Goldwater and everybody else voted for LBJ. But no, there were black folks who voted for him too, because they didn't want a government answer. They wanted a constitutional one to deal with discrimination, disparities, and abuses. They saw the problems. Barry Goldwater was ahead of his time. He predicted all of this woke cancel culture and the whole critical race theory cult. He predicted that this would happen. He predicted people would be punished. And you know how I know all this? Charlie Kirk. He talked about it. He debated it. His last book, Right Wing Revolution, I recommend you read it. I read all about it from him, and I was so impressed. He was willing to have this really tough discussion. Conservatives, because here's the problem, you know, God bless PragerU, but one of the talking points that we've often had against Democrats is, well, more Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act than Democrats. But now we have to go, well, maybe we shouldn't have had one in the first place. How about we just enforce, you know, our natural law? How about you don't kill somebody because they're black? How about you just don't do that? You know, or how about you just don't do that? But creating government agencies to enforce civil rights actually undermined natural rights. This is a tough discussion, but Charlie Kirk started that discussion, and he talked to black kids, black college students, and he was able to say, look, I think there should just be a simple statement. You don't get to discriminate. It's called, you know, equal rights for all. What a concept. That should be codified. Of course, all men are created equal. But then he pointed out the Civil Rights Act did this and this and this. It created all these problems, and now we have all the issues today. And he was actually able to get black and white to hear where he was coming from. This is a tough discussion, but he was opening the door for that. And most importantly, he was cutting off the support, the core energy for this whole LGBT cult, because they rely on and they distort the Civil Rights Act. Because they go, look, there's not enough gay people here. There's not enough trans people in this agency. It's discrimination. We're going to sue unless you change it. All of that is falling away. All of that is getting wiped out. And there you go. Charlie Kirk was a big threat to big LGBT, to big business, to big racism, to every big interest that's wanted to take our power away and undermine the Constitution. Charlie Kirk was speaking out against that.
And they call it all hate speech.
And they call it hate speech. And it goes right back to
talking about Charlie Kirk, the assassination of him. I saw that. I was watching that. It was horrific, awful, stunning. I'm still angry. It
was horrible, man. I've shared this over and over. When someone had texted me that video of him getting hit by the sniper, I thought, this is AI. What is this? I didn't think twice about it. I thought it was AI.
Yeah, it
some
like
fever dream from some crazy leftist, and it took a few minutes as I got more texts and I saw the news.
Well, talking about hate speech and so on, that's why I brought this up. No one has labeled this a hate crime.
Interesting.
This
is not a hate crime, according to the
alleged shooter. And I say alleged because there's all kinds of stuff coming out now about that whole assassination. It's very, very dirty. But the alleged shooter was very openly homosexual, and his relationship with a homosexual who's transitioning to a woman, right?
Yeah.
And all this actually engraved the shell casings with different kinds of very hateful rhetoric. This bullet is for you. Kill anybody who dares to say that trans people are mentally ill. They call that hate speech, but yet this is not labeled a hate crime. There was no tape, or they never turned that into a crime scene. The cameras that were set up by Turning Point folks supposedly were just taken down. Where's the footage of that? How come nobody's talking about that? Nobody is talking about that. Why?
One thing, this is such a traumatic moment, and we have been so defrauded and deceived by the institutions of our time.
What about the autopsy?
We've seen so much dishonesty. A lot. Thank God for Trump releasing all the records. Like MLK was not a great guy, and no, RFK and JFK were not killed by Israel. They were killed by communists. In fact, RFK was killed by a Palestinian. Everybody did know that. For some reason, nobody wants to talk about that, but that was obvious. Saran. And Newsom one of the two good things he did is he didn't allow the guy out. You know, he rejected his parole request. But I do know this: the surgeons who tried to save Charlie Kirk's life, they can attest the entry. What we saw is what happened. I mean, and that Charlie Kirk, even in his death, saved lives, because a sniper bullets of that caliber could have killed more people. But the fact that he took it and it went nowhere else, he saved even more lives because there were people behind him.
There was no blood on the back screen, by the way. The screen that was behind Charlie Kirk, there was no blood on that. There's all kinds of dirty things with that.
I know there was a
My
video
question is, nobody on the right or left is calling it what it was, a hate crime. Nobody's calling it that.
Yeah, I mean, and see, here's the thing too. It's like, if you start calling one thing a hate crime, why don't you call the other stuff a hate crime? You see, I'm of the, you know, this is, there was a Steve Milton, a Republican, a black Republican who ran for LA County DA. He was my first choice that I voted for Nathan Hochman. But he said, I don't believe in hate crimes. If you kill somebody, it's a hate crime. That's a murder. I don't care if the guy was white or black, or if you hated the guy because he was black or because he was white. It's a hate crime. This is a thought control thing that is about, this is, again, more corruption for the Civil Rights Act. Murder is murder. Killing somebody for views that you don't like is evil. It's murder. It's a capital offense. Thank God that Utah still has the death penalty. They are pursuing it, as they should. And I really hope that they make a much needed example out of Mr. Robinson, you know, that this is not going to be tolerated. More people are
The
speaking
irony
out.
with Utah, by the way, is they still carry out their capital punishment by firing squad.
That's the way to do it. In fact,
What
incidentally
irony.
enough, that's probably a more humane way. Idaho just reinstated the.
That's what I said too. I'd rather see him hung, because then he hangs there as his life ebbs away, and it takes longer than a firing squad. But I can be cruel that way, I guess. Where's the forgiveness in your heart, Charlie? Well, let's consult scripture about eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and if you take a life, if you murder, that's one of the 10 commandments: thou shalt not murder, not kill, murder. And so there you go. You make a choice to take a life like that it's not your place. You're not God. You don't get to decide who lives and who dies, then unless they're attacking you in some way. It's a deterrent, if nothing else.
Yes. And we need more of that, not less. I mean, even California has had enough, getting rid of the woke George Soros district attorneys. This state, it's shocking. People look at California, land of fruits and nuts, and yet once in a while they do something smart. 3 times in a row, California voters have affirmed the death penalty. We want the death penalty.
Newsom said no one will be killed on death
He violates the law
as long as he's governor, and he has not. In fact, he's actually torn apart San Quentin and turned it into some kind of multi-million-dollar nice little home for anybody who creates these horrific atrocities. It's insane. He's a bad man. I pray that we do the right thing next year when we get to elect, hopefully, a Republican governor. But son, we're so ensconced with so much voter fraud, and nobody on the right ever even talks about it except Carl DeMaio and Shannon Grove. But that's who else? I can't think of anyone else. No one even talks about it. It's not been changed. All those policies for election fraud is in place still. It has not changed. What makes you think we're going to actually win next year?
I always, if you can always outvote voter fraud. I do believe that. I know some people might think that's silly or naive. I mean, I remember, I think it was June 2020, there were a bunch of bond issues on the state ballot. All of them failed. That was a miracle. There was a bill to raise the minimum wage to $18 an hour, as if 16 isn't high enough, and that's crippling small business as it is, and that failed. There was the bill to reinstate discrimination in hiring and college admissions. That failed in 2020. You can always outvote voter fraud. It doesn't mean it isn't there, and it doesn't mean we don't fight it. There's a guy, I think his name is Shiloh. That's the name of the X account. He has been frequently documenting how county governments in California are scrubbing inactive voters off the legislative rolls. If I am mistaken, one of your audience members can correct me, but I'll send you the documentation on it. I'm just saying, don't give up hope. Don't lose hope. Here in the city of Torrance, we have an excellent city councilman, Aurelio Matucci. He won re-election by 16 votes, but he did win. If the harvesting was as bad, if the voter fraud was as bad as I feared, he would not be on the city council today. It doesn't mean it's not happening. I think what happened to Michelle Steele, what happened to John Duarte, although he was not that great a congressman, I think we do need to scream and yell. I agree with you 1,000%. There shouldn't be a 35-day period to collect ballots. This is obscene. It's insulting. It denigrates. You want to talk about civil rights abuses? You know, every black person in this country wants voter ID. They should know their votes were invalidated. They were discriminated against. There is a history there. And maybe we should be listening to those black folks. Let's get that voter ID. There's going to be an initiative, you know, collecting signatures for that too. I know that will pass because people want it. I think we can turn the ship around. David Hernandez, he was talking about he got reelected as a chair, as a regional chair. There's voter issues even in the California Republican Party. You know that's true. He got reelected. Jack Guerrero is the treasurer. Oh, he's fantastic. That is a huge win for the grassroots against the establishment. Don't underestimate. You can outvote voter fraud every time. We did it. Trump outvoted. There was voter fraud. I can tell you this. We should have a Republican U.S. Senator in Wisconsin. Eric Hovde talked about 100,000 ballots suddenly filled up the Milwaukee County ballot rolls. And they didn't have any other vote but Hovde or the Tammy Baldwin. So it's still an issue. I totally agree. We've got to keep our eyes on it. We must demand change, but it's happening. I do believe it. And
I hope you're right, my friend. You can find Arthur on townhall.com. He's on
American Greatness. Canada Free Press printed my eulogy for Charlie Kirk, and also American Thinker. Very grateful for that. But most importantly, this time around, I want to just plug to your audience, massresistance.org. Thank you so much for opening up with that segment we've done in Redlands, California. We're on the move. We've had people in North San Diego County reaching out to us. We've had people in Washoe County, Nevada, also reaching out to us, wanting to clean up their schools the way we're cleaning up Redlands. Massresistance.org. Please visit that website. We want to build the pro-family fight and put an end to this agenda. Donald Trump's in the White House. We're grateful for that, but the work is not done.
Now's the time. Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon. I always like having Arthur on. He's just a smart man. A lot of fun to talk to. And I hope you appreciated it as well. And I hope you will show your appreciation by sharing it. You can share these shows because I can't promote them on Facebook anymore. So I can't let people know I got a new show out. Till I, start building up other platforms that I, up to that point, had not really bothered with. Now I need to. I'm on Twitch now, twitch.tv/Charlie Simons, or maybe Do Not Talk. I forget which. Also, that's no good, huh? YouTube, back on there, at least for now. And it's just rumble.com is the biggest one. Rumble.com/do not talk. You can always find the shows there. But no matter what happens with social media, find me at charliesimons.com. That's CharlieSimons, charliesimons.com. And please buy some of the merchandise. You'll be helping the show that way. There's some great stuff on there. You can contribute. You can just turn right around and make a contribution. Just recently had Mike and Marilyn gift me with $100. Had an anonymous person with $50. That's helping because it cost me money to put this show on, keep it going. And all at charliesimons.com. Thank you. Thank you. And like this show while you're at it right now. Hit that like button. Bling. That helps break down the algorithms. Wherever you're watching. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, America, bless God.